Hello and welcome back. So, Indian banks and Russian banks may join hands soon. Now, this might surprise you given the sanctions that Russia has from the West and from all over the world. How can Russian banks and Indian banks join together in this situation when the war between Russia and Ukraine is still on, when the sanctions are still on? This may surprise you, but yes, there is a possibility that Indian banks and Russian banks may join hands soon, very soon actually. The question is, will it not anger the West and the US? Will the US and the West not be angry that India is going to join hands with Russian banks? Let's explore. First, about the news. So, very recently in New Delhi, Indian banks including Canara Bank, Bank of Maharashtra, UCO Bank, and even State Bank of India held a meeting with some of the Russian banks, okay, to see whether some bilateral payments and transactions can happen or not. These Indian banks will likely open accounts at their Russian counterparts and vice versa. So you have Indian banks and you have Russian banks and you have Russian banks. There is a chance that both these banks will open accounts in each other's bank. That is, Indian bank will open one account in Russian bank and the Russian bank will open an account in the Indian bank. Why? This is to facilitate bilateral payments where any currency in fact can be used. It can be rupee, it can be ruble, it can be dollar, anything can be used. And right now the arrangement is very difficult given the sanctions on Russia. With this arrangement where there is bilateral agreement among the banks, bilateral trade between Russia and India will become more smoother. The Reserve Bank of India is expected to come out with an operational circular paving the way for this. Very soon we can expect a circular in this regard. Now, if this happens, if these banks actually get into a bilateral engagement, transaction can take place in any currency. As I told you, it can be dollar, euro, rupee, ruble, it can be anything as per the convenience that both the countries will see. Let's just look at the present state of India-Russia trade relations in today's scenario. So Russia has overtaken Saudi Arabia to become India's second biggest supplier of oil, just behind Iraq. So for India, Iraq is the biggest supplier of oil. Previously it was Saudi Arabia, right now it is Russia. Saudi right now is in the third position. Why has it happened? Because Russia is giving deep discount to India and to various other countries on the oil that it is selling. Okay, so that's the reason why Russia has overtaken Saudi Arabia as India's second biggest supplier of oil. Right now, India has a trade deficit of $6.6 billion. If you see the total bilateral trade, that is at $13.1 billion. And the trade deficit that we have, so we are at a deficit actually with Russia, that is at $6.61 billion. Now, the most important question, will this not anger US and the West? The answer is no. The answer is no. It will not anger the US and the West. Why? You see, these transactions will happen with Russian banks that are not hit by sanctions. You see, all the banks in Russia have not been hit with sanctions. The major banks of Russia have been hit. I guess there are some 9 banks of Russia that have been hit, and that's around 3/4 of the banking sector that has been hit with sanctions. Hit with sanctions. Okay, 1/4 of the economy are held by smaller banks, and these smaller banks have not been hit by sanctions. Okay, these banks are not hit by sanctions. So India is planning to do this transaction. Indian banks are planning to do this bilateral engagement with the smaller banks which are not hit by sanctions, and as a result it is safe for India. Okay, just one important information for you. The accounts held by one bank in another foreign country is known as Nostro and Vostro. I'll just explain what it means. You see, suppose A is an Indian bank and B is a Russian bank. Okay, A is Indian, it's an Indian bank, and B is a Russian bank. Okay, now what is a Nostro and what is Vostro? Now, as I told you, that Indian bank will have one account in the Russian bank and the Russian bank, vice versa, will have its own account in the Indian bank. For the Indian bank, okay, when it holds an account in the Russian bank, it is called a nostro account. Okay, Indian bank holding an account in the Indian bank holding its account in the Russian bank, it is a nostro account for India. For Russia though, it will be called a vostro account. Okay, so since the account is in the Russian bank, for the Russian bank they will call this Indian account as the vostro account, and the Indian bank, since its account will be in Russian bank, they will call it a nostro account. Okay, similarly, when Russian account will be held in the Indian bank, Russia will call it a nostro account because for it the account is in a foreign country, and India will call this a vostro account. Why? Because this account is in our own country, in the Indian bank. Okay, you understood? So when one bank's account is in another country, that bank calls it a nostro account, and the domestic bank calls it a vostro account. Clear? Understood what nostro and vostro are? So in very short, this arrangement may happen very soon. Indian banks and Russian banks may do bilateral agreement very soon. However, this will not anger US and the West. Why? Because the banks with which Indian banks will be transacting with, they are not hit by sanctions. These are the smaller banks and they are not hit by sanctions. So it's safe for India to carry out this transaction, this bilateral agreement. Okay, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again very soon. Bye bye.